Okay.
What are you presenting?
Bread.
What?
Bread.
Bread, bakery.
Bakery.
Oh, bread.
Bread.
I thought it was bread. Sorry. Sorry.
It's a clever.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So, who knows what gluten is?
Stuff in bread.
Stuff in bread. Who knows what it really is? Everyone's going on about gluten. Gluten is
It's
bad
a
thing.
gluey
It's a
type
flour?
of stuff.
It's not
Or isn't it like a? It's not a protein. It's like an enzyme or something.
It's a protein. Yeah,
protein,
it's a
okay.
protein. But why is it bad for you? We've been eating breads as a society for thousands of years. Now all of a sudden, bread is bad for you. We shouldn't eat bread anymore.
It was transformed. I don't know.
It's to do with the manufacturing process. So to understand, the way we used to make bread, we would get a little bit of flour and water. This is like in ancient history. They would make sourdough bread. I'm sure you've seen some like artisan bakeries make sourdough bread. So they take a little bit of flour and water and they mix it together and you leave it and the natural yeast in the air and then the flour grows and becomes a colony of yeast and they use that sourdough method to make bread. You take a little piece of that, you mix in your dough, and it's a very long and slow process. It can take up to a full 24 hours to make bread. So with the industrialization of manufacturing of bread and wheat, they've taken that whole process away and they can make a loaf of bread within 3 hours using a lot of chemical additives and instant yeast and really bad quality flour. Also the milling process that they use to make flour destroys a lot of the nutrients.
So
that's the old school bread is really good for you actually. The reason I believe that people are becoming gluten intolerant is not because of the gluten itself. To have true gluten intolerance, you have to have celiac disease, which is a very low occurrence. It's not really common. I believe that with the modern process of making bread, we have kind of destroyed what it is, and it's very bad for us. It's like eating cardboard, modern bread, and that's why we have an increasing occurrence of intolerance. It's not so much gluten. It's actually the process that we've done. And the chemicals. They also bleach flour. It kills all the chemicals. It kills all the nutrients.
Why did they do that? For the colour?
For the colour. For the colour, and it also preserves it.
Okay.
And the funny thing is with sourdough bread, all the long process of fermentation actually produces a lot of lactic acid, I think. And that actually is a natural preservative, and it also reduces the amount of gluten in the bread. So it's counterintuitive to make. I mean, it's for industrialization to make it quick, but it's actually really bad for us. It's counterintuitive for the health.
Okay.
So eating sourdough bread is actually better for us if we go to a bakery
Exactly.
and ask for sourdough. Because sourdough's actually really nice.
It is
I
actually.
don't know
Really
why I
nice.
was
It's very tasty.
I just thought that must be the unhealthiest, because the way it's made, but it's not.
It's actually the most healthy, and you feel like quite satisfied after, especially if they use proper non-GMO, non-chemically altered wheat, and make. Usually, an artisan baker will use those products. When I had a bakery in South Africa, we used to use this wheat, and it's also stone milled, so it's milled not with machines, which have these huge steel drums which get very hot. Also kills the wheat germ. They use stone mills for the stone milled flour.
Wow.
And it's normal, like the old school 2 rocks grinding the flour, and you may end up with a much better product. People who are gluten intolerant, if they eat just normal sourdough stone milled bread, they find that they don't have any problems with the gluten. And going back to what actually gluten is, it's 2 proteins that are found in the wheat. It's also found in like other grains like barley, rye, and when you combine these 2 proteins with water, and the proteins are called glutenin and gliadin.
Okay.
When you combine them with water and you knead it, it forms gluten, which is basically the elasticity. So you see sometimes in the shops, like they have a juice and it's like gluten-free, which always makes me laugh because it's impossible to have gluten in the first place, you know. So
That's funny, yeah.
it is ridiculous. It's become such a
gluten-free orange juice.
and having a purely gluten-free diet is actually less healthy because you cut out so many products that you need
Okay.
that you find in grains. so it's actually less healthy for you.
What about
Bread has become like the enemy, but I still believe you can still eat bread and enjoy it, and it's not the bad thing. It's the processed food that's the bad thing.
So we're
How to make sourdough bread at home?
How to make sourdough bread?
at home?
You get a little bit, you can make sourdough bread at home. A little bit of flour and water, like I said. You mix it, you put it in the cupboard, and every day you just check. When it starts to get bubbly, you add a little bit more flour, a little bit more water, and you keep feeding it. It becomes like a living organism. Some bakeries have had their sourdough starter, the same culture, for like hundreds of years. They even sell portions of it that you can take it home and create from the same starter. Every starter has like a specific taste as well, a unique taste.
So just flour and water?
Just flour and water, you grow the yeast, and then you use that to make your bread. But it's like a long process. It's like you start in the morning, you mix it.
24 hours, you said?
Up to 24 hours. You mix it in the morning, the dough, and you let it rest for an hour, and then you fold it, and you let it rest, and you fold it, and you let it rest, and you do it again. And then you shape the bread, and you let it rise for like 3 or 4 hours, and then you bake it. So it's a long process, but it's really much nicer to eat.
And at least in Finland we have quite good like yeast, that you can have fresh yeast that you can
Fresh
buy.
yeast is better.
Yeah, because we
than
have
dry
that,
instant
so
yeast.
it's a lot quicker.
Yes. You can even make bread using the yeast from beer. Some people make beer bread. They put a bit of beer in their starter. You can make it from grapes, because the skin of grapes has yeast on it, naturally occurring yeast. You know that weird musty red grapes? That's actually yeast.
Oh.
So you get the skins and you mix it with your flour, and you can make like a grape yeast bread.
Have you tried a grape yeast?
I haven't. No, I haven't.
It must be
Tried
a
with
strange
beer.
taste.
Yeah.
It doesn't taste hugely different because it's not actually the grape flavour. It's just the yeast from
yeah.
the grapes. But it was a good experience.
Any more questions?
Any more questions?
Thanks, Nick. You've just sold bread to me. I'm back on a bread diet. Because I always try to avoid bread, but now...
But make sure you get the right bread.
Yeah.